Martin, can you come to the stage, please?
Reserve, January 23rd, 1984. The day Martin Crowe scored his first Test match century.
Martin Crowe's century.
It was to be the first of many, 17 to be precise.
Wonderful century here.
It wasn't just the Test arena where Crowe showcased his ability to score runs with style and elegance. His unforgettable performances with the bat and innovative captaincy will be forever synonymous with the '92 World Cup.
I mean, this is unbelievable.
These are, of course, just a handful of highlights from a truly remarkable career.
Yeah, that's a hunt for Crowe, and they're onto the ground, oh no!
Inducted into the ICC Hall of Fame last month, Martin Crowe rightly takes his place among world cricket's elite.
Marty, I'll take you back, first of all, on the back of what Sir Richard has just said to Smallbone Park and Rotorua in my first-class game where I nicked you out. Does that make me a better bowler than him?
I remember that ball. It was a beautiful, fast delivery around middle and leg stump, bounced, went away, took the glove. I couldn't believe the umpire actually detected a touch. I sort of looked back at you, and I had a little technique in those days where if I nicked it and I just kept looking at the bowler and not look behind and give it away, I was hopeful that the umpire might not have seen it, but on that occasion he definitely saw it, and I was out to a better cricketer on the day. Well bowled.
I was a little embarrassed, I've got to say. Marty, let's go back to the start, the early days, I suppose, growing up, and your idols, your influences in cricket.
Well, my dad, who was in love with the game of cricket, he took me along to Eden Park in 1968. My first big match, and the West Indies were touring, and I'd seen a photo of Gary Sobers in the Wisdens that were scattered around the house, and so I was very excited. Dad took us along because Eden Park's so different now, the picket fence, and so I saw this West Indian team. I fell in love with the West Indians. I thought they were born to play cricket. I thought cricket was designed for them. And watch Wes Hall play his last Test match. And Gary Sobers. He didn't get a lot of runs, but I was just captivated by the way they moved in the field and the way they played and their joy for the game. New Zealand did very well against them. Bruce Taylor got 100, and it was just, I fell in love with the game of cricket at that point. And then it was a case of really Dad taking Jeff and off to Cornwall Park every Saturday to live our dream.
He still watches from there, up on the hill?
Dad was there at Eden Park on February 28. He always sat up on what was the old North stand, the ASB stand now, and he had a wine sack. And he took that along for 40 years.
You wouldn't get in nowadays.
He wouldn't get it in nowadays.
No, wouldn't be allowed.
Well, maybe he might have talked his way in with it, but I'm slightly digressing, I guess, but I think the greatest feeling for me on that beautiful day at Eden Park when we downed that ungracious team through a Trent and Kane special and 40,000 people, and to go out and receive the Hall of Fame cap, it was for Mum and Dad, because for 40 years they had sat in that park, and Mum said to me later that it was the proudest cricketing moment of her life, and I think Dad was toasting her sentiments as well. So that gave me a huge buzz, and the whole family were there, Lorraine and Emma, and it was a terrific day.
When you fell in love with the West Indies at Eden Park while watching them, did you get any of that love back when you were playing against them?
You know what? I did. I know what you mean. There were times when your life sort of flashed before you, and you know, it's amazing when you think of the tragedy of Phil Hughes, how many times we were in that same situation and were lucky. But the West Indians were real pros, and I can't remember one nasty word said from them. There was the odd one from Viv at first slip. But then again, I had just taken his place at Somerset. He'd just been sacked. So I understood that.
A little bit angry.
But Joel had also been sacked, and yet I actually adored them. I thought they played the game in a beautiful spirit. They were ruthless with the ball. They had a strategy which was unbeatable. And so when you played them, you just felt that it was a privilege because you're up against the greatest. And it brought the best out in you, and you knew you weren't going to succeed often, but when you did, it was special. And the New Zealand team pulled off some good performances, and I'll never forget that win in 1987 when Paddles refused to bowl, and he must have thought he was bowling to me. Anyway, he came back, got 6 for, after Charlie Chatfield had knocked off the first 4. But we beat the West Indies, the best team possibly ever, at Lancaster Park in '87, and Jeff and I put on 150, our best ever partnership. So there was, there are great memories. I could go on, but that was very special. Paddles mentioned Brisbane. I think Lancaster Park holds a pretty special place in his and my heart too.
Those times at Somerset. Not a lot of our guys, a few now, get the opportunity to play county cricket. How good were they for you at that time? Because 3 overseas players, you were up against the best in the world on a regular basis.
I was very lucky as a young man to be able to play county cricket as I did. And it came down to one man, Ian Botham. Played against New Zealand obviously a lot, and he saw in me something, apparently. I had an average of 15 in about 13 tests. I wasn't a very good bowler, as Paddles has alluded to, even though I opened the bowling with him in 4 test matches. No, actually it was only one at the SCG. That's right, he didn't turn up to Pakistan. I had to bowl instead of him in 1984. You see what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
And so, county cricket was huge, and Ian Botham saw something in me, and he gave me a chance. I was 20 years old. And I was 20 going on 12, really, from a maturity point of view. So to go and live with him was just not going to happen. And I walked out after 6 weeks, and Vic Marks saw me at the MCG the other day, and he still remembers the look on Ian Botham's face when I told him that I was out and I was moving on. And Ian Botham had never had anyone tell him that. So I felt good about that. But he was instrumental in giving me a chance. And our guys have experienced that in the last few years. It just fine-tunes your game. It's great to go back from international cricket to domestic cricket, whether it be here in New Zealand or county cricket, and just get in touch with your game and get in touch with yourself before you go back into the cauldron of international cricket.
I could sit here for an hour and talk to you, Marty. I know we unfortunately don't have that long. Your thoughts on the recent times and the World Cup and what this side has been through?
I'll reel off a couple of dates just to help cooking this up. February 14, it's a special day because it's the day I married the greatest friend of my life, Lorraine, our wedding anniversary. And that's, of course, when the World Cup started at Hagley Oval. What a great story around Christchurch, getting ready for that World Cup. And I was nervous and excited because of Marty Guptill opening the batting with Brendan. There was a personal thing there, and there was a collective thing there as a New Zealander. And I'll never forget the over. Guppy got off the mark. He took strike every time. I sometimes wish he hadn't. But leading up to that series, he took the strike, and he had some troubles. But he took the strike that day, and he got off the mark. And it was a bit like, Brendan said, mate, great start, but just sit back and watch because I've got something I want to say. And he went bang, bang, first 2 fours through the cover field for 4, and that opening 5 minutes of that World Cup was a statement to the world, but in particular to his teammates, that they were ready. And I got up out of my chair and I just went, they're ready, they're here, and we were in the moment. And they put on 100 together, those two. And I don't know, you were there, but I felt that was the perfect way to say the World Cup's in town. And, and I truly believed at that point that we could go all the way.
And the next date? You had another one to talk about.
The next date.
I think you've got 4, haven't you?
Well, February 28 we've touched on. And I guess 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, March 21, at the Cake Tin. And just a quick little story about Gup. I text him just 3 letters, OMG. I just kept saying it all day long. And in the end, it was, oh my Gup. And in fact, whenever I think of that oh my God sort of saying, I just keep, oh my Gup. Yeah. If you say it quick enough, it sounds like oh my God. And I just watched that first ball, and it took me back to the year the year ago when he came to me and he said, Hogan, will you give me some help? And I said, and I looked at him, I said, what do you want? And he said, I want to be a successful test player. No mention of the World Cup or one-day cricket. And I said, for you, I'll do anything, because he just looked as though he was ready to change his life. And I think he'd made a wonderful choice in Laura and the McGoldricks, who I think are the most wonderful family I've ever met. The love that he now has around them gave him the ability to open up his heart and ask for more help. And we stripped his game back, and to see that first shot against the West Indies go for 4 to a very good outswinger that was swinging late and full, zeroing in on middle and off, and he hit it back past him for 4, and I just thought that was a combination of a year of sacrifice and courage, and as any coach would say, that's why you want to help. You want to see someone fulfill their potential, and of course the rest of the day was a blur and a dream like to score 237 in one day. So I want to thank you, Gup, for lighting up my life in that moment. But I just want to say well done on the year. So March 21, which led to March 24, which led to March 29, off the back of the greatest match I think we've ever seen in this country, that semi-final at Eden Park, South Africa. And I think the moment that I'll never forget is Grant reaching down to reach out to Dale Steyn, and that gentle gladiator kind of look, not the hairy javelin that he's known for. He just epitomised the New Zealand spirit. And we may not have won the cup, but you know what? We won at the higher level, which was the spirit, which was the method, which was the love that I've never experienced this in my life, walking tonight. I've never experienced this family love, this cricket community coming together. So well done to New Zealand Cricket, Whitey, and the board, to Baz. The last 2 years, there was some pain 2 years ago, but you need pain to learn, and I just... Last year, I looked at New Zealand cricket with different eyes because of my own journey, and I thought, they deserve everything because they have responded to a hard situation, and they've grown and they've matured, just as we all must as human beings. So congratulations to everyone in this room, because it's not just the last 6 weeks. I thought it was really 2 years of incredible work, a really hard work, a lot of pain, a lot of tears. And everyone can feel very proud about where we're at, because it's laid a foundation for the young kids for generations to come. And I don't think I can say that about any other era. This is an era that has made me incredibly happy to have played the game.
Well, Marty, can I just say, whatever the future may bring, I think cricket, New Zealand cricket, world cricket, is a far better place for having you played the game. You inspired a generation of people when I played. You were, I captained me. Sorry, but it's a bit emotional.
Well, let's tell the story if we've got time, because we picked Simon, a rough diamond for Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka in 1992. And on the first bowling, in the first net session, I'm a bit tired from jet lag. And on the first ball he bowled at me, he just whizzed it past my left temple. And I just said, what's going on? Just wanted to make notice of selection for the first test. We picked him, he got a wicket, he bowled beautifully, he did get an injury, but you were always an asset, and you went on to take 98 wickets, and I know what that feels like to fall just a couple short. So I thank you for I thank you for your emotion. It means a lot. To have you in the commentary box, you've always, you've always seen cricket in a positive way. And even though you gave Guppy a hard time in October, I kept saying to you,
I kept saying to you,
February 14, February 14, and February 14 was the start. And 6 weeks later, we're here, and we're just loving it. I can just see it. I can feel it, and I wish it wouldn't end, but it'll inspire the next crowd. And before you send me on my way, I just want to say that on March the 29th, it was an incredible day at the MCG. I was very exhausted, but I stood on the end of the boundary and I watched the presentation, Australia lift the cup, and then I noticed the boys starting to walk in my direction. I didn't realise that the dressing room was right where I was, and I saw Dan Vittori. I think he's somewhere here, and I just burst open with all the emotion that I had, and he gave me a huge hug, and I just said, "What a career! What an inspiration! You set the benchmark for everyone in this team. 18 years of class, of skill, devotion. That was the moment for me. March 29 was Dan limping off for the last time." I've got your seat warm, Dan, in the hall, right next to me, buddy. You're going to have to shave, though, I'm afraid. They only allow moustaches, paddles, and only the Dr. W.G. Grace is allowed to wear the full nasty. But I just want to know, Dan, that you're going to be sitting next to me, buddy, and I'm really looking forward to that moment.
Yeah, Marty, congratulations on the Hall of Fame. Congratulations on everything you've done as far as cricket's concerned, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, well done, mate. Outstanding, mate.